Today I'm cooking Judy's favorite dish of mine. It's juicy, it's crispy on the outside, tender on the inside, Nashville hot chicken, which I'm gonna show you how to cook right now. So a really important part is you're going to marinate the chicken in the buttermilk. And for the buttermilk mixture, it's simply, of course, 1 quart of buttermilk, some Frank's Red Hot, any kind of hot sauce that you like works here. A little splash of pickle juice, some salt. And then for the chicken, I prefer using chicken thighs, just so much more flavorful. There's a lot of fat in it, skin on, bone in. I'm gonna remove the bone. I'm going to put it into the buttermilk and it's gonna sit here until I cook later tonight. Now, if you can do this the night before, way better, but I've just been so busy. So I'm kind of in a rush. Let's break down this chicken. So what I'm gonna do first is mix the buttermilk. I rarely use buttermilk except for this and buttermilk pancakes. I don't know if there's any other replacement. Matt says you can use sour cream and milk if you don't have buttermilk, but why not just get the buttermilk, I say. And then salt, I'm just using 1 tablespoon of salt. I'm gonna mix that in there. And then for the Frank's Red Hot, I'm just gonna eyeball it. I think it's like 3 or 4 ounces. Literally just eyeballing it. I'm not trying to make it too spicy since the girls will be eating this too. I'll make non-spicy version as well. A little splash of this pickle juice. This is bread and butter pickles. Nothing complex, just mixing it. A little bit of color from the hot sauce. As I mentioned, even if you use more hot sauce, it doesn't really come through the final product because I will make a non-spicy version of the dredge. And I found that even though I use this spicy buttermilk mixture, it doesn't affect the spice level enough of the final fried chicken, so kids can't have it. Okay, for the chicken, really simple. All I'm gonna do is kind of open it up. I'm looking for this little piece of fat that goes right down the bone. And all I do is I kind of cut along it. It's really easy. In fact, once I do that, I basically can kind of remove it without even cutting. I've done this before with good quality chicken where I can just kind of remove it. But what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna put the knife through the bottom. I'll show you the easy way to do it. I like the little cragglies, the little pieces, just like that. All right, got the last one. That took me actually not too long. I've kind of layered this. I'm gonna make sure buttermilk gets into every little crevice. All right, with your chicken bones, I suggest not throwing these away. Make sure you keep them. You could do like a little chicken soup with those. And then with the bowl, I'm gonna go ahead and add plastic wrap, cover it. And now I'm gonna put this into the fridge and let it sit for the next few hours. My first job is to set up the fry station. So I've got the control freak ready. I've got the pot. This is a stove pot, one of the best things to use for deep frying because it retains a lot of heat. And I got my rack, which I'm gonna put all the French fries on after the first fry. But today, what's special is I'm gonna be deep frying with avocado oil. I've never used it before, so let me know in the comments if you've used it, how it turns out. I definitely will let you guys know. I did a Google search on if avocado oil was good for deep frying. I didn't see a lot of results, but I did find one article that talked about some of the best fats and oils to use, including beef tallow, which I use all the time, even olive oil to deep fry, which I wouldn't have thought. Maybe it's like the non-extra virgin stuff, but avocado was on that list. So I'm going to try this. It's a little pricey, but I heard that it's healthier for you. So we're gonna go ahead and just give it a whirl. Another reason why I'm using avocado oil is because of the smoke point. Avocado oil has a high smoke point, so it shouldn't smoke at the temp that we're gonna be deep frying at. I wanna do a first fry for the French fries, and then while that is going on, I will be prepping the coleslaw, the dredge, the sauce, and then I will prep the chicken to get it deep fried. So yeah, it's all about timing when you're deep frying multiple foods. One thing that makes this sandwich so delicious and balances the heaviness of the deep fried chicken is a coleslaw. So I'm gonna prepare a coleslaw. It's really simple. It's just cabbage and the carrots. Gonna thinly slice both of these. I'm not gonna mix it with the sauce because one, I haven't made the sauce, but secondly, I don't want it, I don't know, extract any moisture from the vegetables. So I'm gonna wait until right when I'm about to make the sandwiches. I'm gonna prep the vegetables right now. Peel away, literally, peel away. And then what I do is I peel off this outside layer, right? Then it's easier to cut. What I'll do is maybe cut it in half, and then just like the carrots, cut it nice and thin, and I go super slow. I mean, I don't know, as slow as this looks, but I don't rush it. I don't try to go fancy. One day I'll learn how to cut like a professional, but just to be safe, this is how I cut. Just like this. Just mix it in there, and as I mentioned before, I am not going to mix this with the sauce just yet. I'm gonna prepare the sauce and I will have it ready to go to mix later. So this part, kind of a hot mess compared to the other part, which was so clean and so easy. Same thing, cut it nice and thin. Just be very controlled, pay attention. The more thin I can get it, the better. All right, so I'm gonna make the sauce or the dressing for the coleslaw. It's really simple. Mayo, Dijon mustard, apple cider vinegar. I'll put the link to the recipe down below, but very, very simple, and there's really nothing to it. Half a cup of mayo. As I mentioned, I'm kind of eyeballing this. That's kind of a lot of mayo. A 1/4 cup of apple cider vinegar. Okay, Dijon mustard, and then salt and pepper to taste. I kind of lean on the less dressing side because I don't want it to be overwhelming. I want to go heavier on the mayo side, less on the Dijon and cider side. And of course, Dijon. 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 Okay, let me go ahead and taste this guy. That's actually really good. I'll just leave it like that. I'll put this aside and then I'll mix it right before I plate the sandwiches. The most important part of this, other than the chicken and the buttermilk marinade, is the dredge. This, I think, is part of Matt's secret to really crispy chicken. So let me show you. Okay, so of course, very normal. You put in some flour, 2 cups of flour, but it's the cornstarch. So you're gonna put about a 1/4 cup of cornstarch, and this is what's gonna get it super crispy and slightly different texture. Paprika, where you're gonna use 2 tablespoons of this, and then cayenne pepper, normally 1 tablespoon, but I'm gonna use half of that. Garlic powder and a whole bunch of other flavors I don't have, but again, I'll put the link to the actual recipe. One tip I would have, it calls for 4 tablespoons of salt. Last time it was a little too salty, so I'm just gonna put 1, maybe 2 tablespoons, because you can always add salt later. Another tip I'd give you guys, use a really big bowl, especially if you're doing chicken thighs like me, because you wanna be able to press it really hard, have plenty of dredge, and if you have too small of a bowl, it's gonna be very difficult. So let me go ahead and mix all this, and then we're ready to deep fry. The other part of the secret is how he breads the chicken. He really packs it into every nook and crevice of the chicken, and I really believe that that's what makes it different. So obviously people put their chicken into the breading, but he really smashes it into that protein, and that's what gives it such a crispy texture. The crispiest I've ever experienced, especially when you put that Nashville hot oil on there. It's important that you do that. A lot of people, they just kind of like dip it in there and they're not aggressive. Be very aggressive with your dredge. That is the big secret. Now the cornstarch, 1/4 of a cup. Garlic powder, it says 1 tablespoon. I'm gonna use a whole bunch of this since I don't have the other spices. This I will measure. This is the cayenne pepper. As you can see, I bought it in bulk, way cheaper that way. I won't put too much cayenne pepper, that's kind of a lot. Half a tablespoon of cayenne pepper. You gotta make sure. Whoo, that's okay. That's cayenne pepper. I didn't label them, so. The paprika smells really good. And this calls for 2 tablespoons, so I'll do a 1.5. Because we got kids, we go kind of easy on the flavors. That way they can eat it too. I'm actually gonna just do 1 tablespoon because last time it was so salty. Whisk all this together. It is ready to go. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make 1 as a tester just to see how spicy, how salty it is, and then adjust if need be. So I'm gonna go grab my chicken from the fridge and then have 1 tester chicken. I've got my fry station ready. I'm gonna turn up the heat to 350 degrees. You know, I like to go actually 10 above because it is cold out here and sometimes the temp drops. So once that's done and I'm done breading the chicken, I'll deep fry the first one. The chicken has been sitting in the fridge for about 6 hours now. It's ready to go. Ideally, I would say 8 to 12 hours or even 24 hours. Matt says you can leave it in the fridge for about 2 days, 3 days, it'll be fine, but I've only done that once. Last thing I'm gonna say, this is the most important part to get a super crispy Nashville hot chicken. If you don't do this, this is not gonna be any different than any other fried chicken you had. If you want that super craggly, crispy, crunchy, yet decadent, delicious, and juicy inside, this is a step that you want to pay attention to. Now, when I first made this Nashville hot chicken for the first time, I just followed the directions of his video. Didn't think anything of it. I was like, of course you're gonna have to get it all in there. Like, doesn't everybody else do that? And then what I found was, not only was it the best fried chicken I had ever made, but then I watched other people's videos and they may have done it, but I don't think they did because of 2 reasons. 1, they didn't mention it, and 2, their chicken didn't look like his. And so this is a part that I learned from Matt that I'm very grateful for. He actually pours all this, and I remember seeing this when I used to work at a restaurant that made a lot of fried chicken. Pour it right on there, all over like this, and you squish it in there. And then you flake it off, and see these open nooks? Put some in there. Get some all in there, okay? Look for any other exposed pieces of skin or protein. Get it all in there, okay? See, it's already starting to get that texture, similar texture, but I'm further going to get more on there. So I'm just gonna really cake it on and then smash it in, flip it over, same thing, smash it. Don't miss a spot. This is a mistake I believe a lot of people are making, is they're not spending enough time breading their chicken. And you do this, you're gonna have all these little crispies, as I call them, and nooks and crannies, and these crunchy bits. Oh, I remember when I worked at this restaurant and we had a really good fried chicken. This was the difference. And those kids that were breading that chicken, they probably weren't even thinking anything of it, but I do remember watching the technique and not thinking like, oh, that's why it's so crispy, but I remember that restaurant that I worked at, so crispy. Okay, there you go. I got all the little areas. See that? That's what you're going for, okay? I'm gonna lay on here. I'm gonna do the first tester fry outside. Our oil is 350 degrees. So I'm gonna just put it right in there. One of the secrets to deep frying, don't overcrowd your pot. So I'm just gonna do 1 at a time and not be tempted to do 2. That's also what's gonna make it super crispy. So I'll go ahead and let that deep fry probably for 3 or 4 minutes. Oh, baby. Whoa! See that? That's the secret right there. It's been about 4.5 minutes now. And what I like to do is actually take this basket and just let it drain for 2 reasons. One, I just want all the oil to be gone from the chicken. And secondly, I don't want to waste the oil either. By the way, I'll put all the stuff that I use in links. I've been using these product links that YouTube has. So if you're curious about anything that I use, if you want to buy it for yourself, YouTube makes it super easy to find it. See all those little nooks and crannies right there? Look at that. Look at that. Looks like an asteroid. Like the scene from Armageddon. See that? That's what you want. So it's been resting for about 10 minutes now. Look at that. Just gonna cut a section off. Look how juicy that is. Look how juicy it is. And then I will taste it to see if it's seasoned properly. Better than any chicken nugget out there. So good. And I'm glad I didn't put more salt because it's already borderline too salty for my tastes. But now I know it's good to go. So I'm gonna cook a few for the girls so it's ready to go. When they get down here, I just cooked up a batch of fries. Next is get the bread prepared, mix the coleslaw, and I'm ready to make a sandwich. There is one more thing I need to do. Make the Nashville hot chicken oil, cayenne pepper, paprika, garlic powder, maple sugar, which I started using because of this dish. We put this maple sugar into our coffees and a little bit of salt. And then what you do is put it all in this bowl. And then with that hot oil, you just put it right in. And that's your Nashville hot oil that I'll use very last when I make me and Judy's. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3. Yes, this is a lot. And 4. Paprika is not too spicy. It's got a nice flavor to it. But cayenne definitely is spicy. And then this calls for 2 tablespoons of cayenne, which I am gonna be putting the full amount because this is really for me and Judy, even though some of the girls kind of like spice these days. Then garlic powder, 1 tablespoon. Same thing, I'm just gonna eyeball it. For the maple sugar, it says 1 tablespoon. Let's see. I'm actually gonna go on the heavy side, because I do like the sweetness that goes up against that spice. And then for the salt, what is this? And then what you're gonna do, when you're done with the oil, you're gonna pour 4 ounces of hot fryer oil in there, mix it up, and it's ready to go. It's already making me kind of like sniffle, because I can smell the cayenne, so it's perfect.
I love the flavors. I absolutely love it.